Hey, my name's Cameron, and I'm going to show you how rate limiting works for Tinybird APIs. So I have this very simple multi-threaded Python app, and if we go down to the bottom, we'll see what it's going to do when I run it. So I'm going to pass an argument for the number of requests per second, and what it will do when I run the app is create a thread for each request per second. So if I want to run 10 requests per second, I'll create 10 threads, and for each thread, I'm going to generate a JWT. And then on that thread, I am going to run a request to my Tinybird API. This is the endpoint that I've published. It's a pipe in Tinybird that I've published as an API endpoint. So it's going to pass that token in the headers, print the response, and then sleep for a second. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm emulating, making multiple requests per second to this API endpoint. Now, when I generate a JWT, what I can do is, if I want to, I can optionally pass a unique identifier that will set the name of that JWT. So if I don't pass it, the JWTs will all have the same name, and it'll just be JWT underscore. And I'll show why that matters for rate limiting here in a second. So if I just run this Python app.py at 5 requests per second, you'll see I make 5 requests per second, and I'm getting, good response codes. So let's shut this down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some rate limits to this JWT. So in the JWT, I'm going to add a limits object, and we'll set RPS of 5. We're going to limit this API to 5 requests per second for this token. Now, the name can be used across multiple JWTs. And so if I have multiple JWTs with this JWT underscore token, they will all be subject to this rate limit. So what we'll see is that now that I've added this limit, if I run at 5 requests per second, I still get these 200 response codes. That's great. But if I want to run at 10 requests per second, I'm going to start getting 429. So all of these threads are trying to access this API, but the global rate limit on the API is 5 requests per second. I have 10 threads trying to access it every second, and so I'm throwing these response codes. Of course, I can assign each thread a uniquely named JWT, and then the limits will be unique to that JWT and therefore that thread. So let's go down to our code here, and we're going to pass a UID. I'm just going to that, a rand int. We don't need to get fancy here. This isn't cryptographic. And then we'll just pass this. And so this will create a uniquely named JWT. And so now if I make this request, you'll see that each of these threads now has the 5 requests per second rate limit, and they're all returning 200 status codes. So that's basically how rate limiting works in Tinybird. If you have questions about it, you can either find us in Slack or check out the docs. Thanks.